Good afternoon, everybody. Can I have your attention, please? My name is Greg Reif. I'm president of the PGE Retirees.org. And thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Anyway, before we get started, I want to take an opportunity to have a moment of silence for some of our former colleagues that are no longer with us. And as you think about that, I would just ask that you think about ways that we can be thankful and charitable with our time and helpful to others who are in need. So, a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Um, we have on our webpage an in memoriam page that lists our colleagues that are no longer with us, and we keep that up to date as best as possible. But we do rely on people to let us know if they've heard of anyone that's passed. So, feel free to let us know if you are aware of that. There's a card on your table that lists the our phone number or our website and email address. So that's the best way to get in contact with us. Okay, so we have a really. Oh, before I get go, please keep your cell phones silenced if possible, just so we can keep the things flowing. But we do have a great program ahead of us today. I'm really excited about it. Okay, we got Emmett here to read some poetry. We got our two officers here from PGE and Mersereau and Ben to Felton to speak to us and tell us what's going on back at our old employer. And then we have the two Bit Brothers back joining us for, I think, the third year, maybe fourth, the third year for sure. So I'm really excited about that. And just on a more personal note, I'm really excited about this organization and the opportunity to be president this year and this upcoming year. We've done a lot of great things with this organization, a lot of events, a lot of opportunities to gather together. We've got activity groups, we've got luncheons and other things that we get together both in person and virtually. And then we had our very first ever combined retiree active employee event last summer, a pickleball tennis event. It was sort of a resurrection of something that used to be there many years ago when Jim Pyro was CFO, called Net Results. So that was very successful, and we want to keep that going. We also had our annual picnic, which was well received, and of course, our signature event is our holiday lunch here today. So I'm so happy that you're all here. Um, so first, I'd like to introduce Emmett to read one of his poems. Emmett is Wheatfall is a retired Clackamas County assistant county administrator. He was formerly VP of YMCA of Columbia Willamette, and he was a former Equal Employment Opportunity Specialist at PGE. He's been twice nominated for the Oregon Poet Laureate, and he's the recipient of the prestigious 2024 Oregon Poetry Association's Patricia Ruth Banta Award. So help me welcome Emmett.
I groan when I get up now. Some of you know what I'm talking about. When we were young, we longed for love, gazing the heavens, even the stars above. Fantasy was our fancy, inspired by our dreams. They too did entrap at us, always revealing what we were made of. How, when we were young, we longed for love. When I was young, I longed for love, revealing were my inner thoughts. Romantic soliloquies are what they taught, reciting them over and over again. I loved releasing the pale blue moon within, always revealing what I was made of. How, when I was young, I longed for love like you, and like you, and like you. I long for love. There was a day when we were young, right? I want to tell you how honored I am to be invited this time of year for this occasion to just share some thoughts with you, retirees, my fellow retirees. I don't say that as perfunctory. I don't say that as a superlative. For me, today is like coming back to my high school, coming back to my college, just seeing so many faces that I know, names that I know. Some of you I probably didn't meet in the course of our work, but we are family. Turn to your neighbor and say, we are family. I want to thank John McClain for just working with me in terms of getting me here, getting me prepared for this opportunity and this occasion to speak to you. I would like to use a theme to weave through my thoughts. And the theme is, we kept the lights on. We kept the electricity flowing. And I'd like for us to understand that not all of us were out there slinging wire. Not all of us were engineers. Not all of us were, let's say, in human resources or bugging Mary Trosper on the 17th floor. But it's so good to see her. She's a prominent part, I know, of my memory. But all of us, we contributed to the fact that we kept the lights on and we kept the electricity flowing. Every one of us. And I like to contextualize that thought in this regard. There was a time in American history when the Hoover Dam was built. Some of you have been around long enough that you remember those days. And one of the things that I remember from history about the Hoover Dam is that the people who worked on building that dam, and I would always think about those people that built that dam, how that once they had retired, maybe they were driving along in their car and their grandkids were in the back seat of the car, and they could say to those grandkids, I made this. I contributed to building that. I think in the same regard for us as retirees, all of you, all of us, and those that are not with us, those that have preceded us, we played an important part in keeping the lights on and keeping the electricity flowing. I'd like you to turn to the next person and tell them thank you, as I say thank you to you. I want to say to you, I, I want you to think about the thing that I love the most about my Portland General Electric experience is where I really cut my professional development in work life. PGE is a great company, more than 100 years old. And it's 100 years old because of you. I think about the generating side, the Trojan nuclear plant. Some of you here were involved in Trojan. If I recall correctly, I think we were one of the first utilities in the United States to actually shut down a nuclear plant. There had been no procedures, no real system at how to go about shutting down a nuclear plant, but we did. And we were able to continue to keep the lights on and keep the electricity flowing. That doesn't mean that there weren't outages. It doesn't mean that substations went down. It doesn't mean that there was a loss of power at particular times. But when you have people who are working in the local IBW 125 Some of you know what I'm talking about. It's freezing cold out there, and people are without power, and they've got children there at the house. Even some of us were at home with our children by fireplace, blankets over us, but they were out there slinging wire, restoring that power, bringing, I see somebody tapping somebody on the back. They're relating to what I'm talking about today. Think about it. We had generating, hydros, keeping those hydros, fossil fuels with the Boardman coal plant. All of that was a part of our system of keeping the lights on and the electricity flowing. And we continue to do that today. It hasn't always been peaches and cream. Some of y'all, I hate to bring it up, but the Enron debacle. Oh, I hear the groans. The Enron debacle. But we survived. We made it through. We demonstrated some great resiliency. That's what you did. And now there are others who have come after us who are continuing that legacy. I want to talk about some people in the few minutes that I have before I read another poem before I go. I remember when I came on board, how many remember Ken Harrison? Ken Harrison was the CEO of Portland General Electric, and I don't know how you feel about him as a CEO, senior executive, but he was senior executive at the time that I came on board. And I remember as a young professional, we were beginning to look at, society was demanding that organizations look at this new thing called diversity, this value proposition that we wanted our customers in the PGE service territory to understand that we value all of our customers. And I put together, working with other employees, an actual diversity philosophy. And when it was ready, I took it up to the 17th floor, got an opportunity to meet with Ken Harrison, and he looked at it. I didn't hear back from him for about 7 months. I thought it had fell into the abyss. But one day, I get a phone call. I'm on the 6th floor in human resources. And Ken Harrison says, I want you to come up. And I came up and I met with him. And he said, Emmett, he said, I looked at this philosophy, and he said, I had to think about it. He said, I had to see whether or not these principles are principles that could be my value, that I would pass on to the, 1,800 employees at that time. My number may be off, but about 1,800 employees. And he said, yeah. And I said to him, Ken, what we do not want to do is what Dr. King said. We don't want to legislate morality, but we would like to regulate behavior that it's in concert with our overall values of how we treat people and how we service our customers. And at that particular point, we began to take off in terms of how we met the needs of people in our service territory. Great leadership. How many remember Peggy Fowler? Peggy Fowler and Bob Fowler. In 1998, my wife Karen, who is not with us today, she's alive at home working. Why is she working? Because she said she wants to keep her mind sharp. She doesn't want to be doing crossword puzzles to keep her mind sharp. The only problem is that she's driving me crazy. No, I told her, I'm not your breaks and lunches, all right? She works from home, she comes. You guys can laugh, come on. We're retired now. Oh, because whenever she takes her break, she wants to come up and talk to me, and I'm writing. But anyway, Peggy Fowler. In 1998, my wife Karen was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. How many of you know when the doctor tells you that you've got stage 4 breast cancer, they're telling you that pretty much it's over, that you don't have much hope? My wife is a woman of great faith. One day we get a phone call, and it's from Bob Fowler. And Bob Fowler, who's the husband of a wife who's the CEO of a $3 billion energy marketing company, said, want to stop by the house, we got something for you. And he stopped by with a basket of food. It's not that we needed the food, we're employed, we're working, but just the very fact that a CEO and would take the time to put together that basket and bring it to our home, we don't see that kind of leadership today. You'd be lucky if you got a phone call from the CEO asking you how you are doing. Phenomenal leadership, an incredible golfer. Some of you got beat at golfing with her. Tremendous, tremendous leadership. These are some of the experiences that I had. I remember Jim Pyro. Jim Pyro's not here. We used to have the diversity summit at the Oregon Convention Center. And we invited Robert F. Kennedy in to be the keynote speaker. Maybe some of you remember. And we told him, you only have about 30 minutes. So I'm backstage because I'm emceeing there. And I look at my watch, it's 30 minutes, 35 minutes, 40 minutes. This is a conference. We have got workshops scheduled and stuff. And somebody needed to go up and let him know that he needed to stop. And I'm like, oh my goodness. This is a Kennedy. Oh no, I'm not going to walk up and interrupt a Kennedy. I'm going to go down in the history books as interrupting a Kennedy. I got up, walked up on the stage, and stood by him to kind of let him know that I'm there, that you kind of need to finish. He kept going. I put my hand in the cleft of his back, and he finished. And afterward, Jim Pyro came up to me and he said, Emmett, he said, I really appreciate what you did. He said, I don't know if there are many of us who would have done that, but that needed to happen, and you took initiative and you took charge. We're talking about really phenomenal leaders who knew how to relate to employees. I got a couple more minutes. Hang in there. I sure wish Arlene Barnett was here. She's a former manager, director, went on to be VP of Human Resources. She was the one that as a young man, she gave me a cross-training opportunity to come work in human resources. And it was out of that professional experience, out of that professional development, that I got a chance to learn a lot about what it means to be a professional, what it means to be what it means to work for a utility. I learned a lot about nuclear power, about kilowatts and watts and all of those kinds of things. And it's because of that experience that I got a chance to leave Portland General Electric and go be a vice president in an organization. And from there, go on to be an assistant county administrator for Clackamas County. You see, we kept the lights on and we kept the electricity flowing. I remember I was supervising out in customer service in the call center. And I remember we have these outages. Some of you know what I'm talking about. We would go out there, wouldn't we, Wes? And we'd man phones. We manned the phones for 8 to 12 hours, making sure that customers knew that we were trying to give them the best idea on when their service would be restored. We would let them know our system of restoration, that if we could bring up substations and if Trojan was down, if we can restore more people. And then one day, Enron came a-calling. I had 22 people reporting to me. Everybody was on edge and concerned. John, we were in the due diligence process, and a lot of us had signed agreements that there are certain things we cannot disclose in the due diligence process. I'm at my desk, I get a call from Enron, and the guy tells me, I want this, and this. And I tell him straight up, I can't give you that. We're in the due diligence process. We're in the process of evaluating each other, and I can't give you that. And he says, well, I'll get it from somewhere else. About 4 o'clock that afternoon, I got a phone call from him, and he listed off all the things that I couldn't tell him he had got it from somewhere else. So wherever you got it from, my body wasn't built for jail. My toe tag when I was born said, no, do not put in jail. So I didn't give him that information. You know, those were tough times, but we persevered. You persevered. Whatever area that you worked in, you kept the lights on and you kept the electricity flowing. Portland General Electric is more than 100 years old. I told my team that I said, there's something you need to understand about Portland General Electric. I said, we are systems and processes. We are systems and processes. I said, Enron is projects and tasks, projects and tasks. And if you're an organization that simply solely relies on projects and tasks, you won't last very long. What you did and what we did out of our professional acumen, out of our commitment, out of our dedication, you can look at Portland General Electric today and you can say, we did that. We maintained that. And I want to take just the opportunity to say to you that now that we're retired, let's be thankful. I don't use that word lightly. Let's be thankful. Let's be grateful for the experiences that we had, the friendships that we made, the professional developments that we cured, that we maintained. The very fact of coming in here and just seeing each other shake hands and saying hello, we look a little bit different. We're a little bit wider, a little bit grayer, maybe a little bit shorter, but we're still here. And I think that that's a monumental accomplishment. Our names will not go down on plaques. Our names will not be mounted on rocks or on buildings. But when you drive by and you look at our system, you could say, I did this. It is great to know that in my neighborhood, when the power goes out, I can tell them whether or not it's a transformer that's blown. I can tell them what's happening with a substation. All of these things are critical to why we should rejoice as retirees in relationship to an event, an occasion like that, because we kept the lights on and we kept the electricity flowing. I want to share one more poem before I go today. It's a simple poem. It's one that I hope that you will enjoy. I love it for its simplicity. Some of you can relate to it. It's called A Small Town. A small town. A light blinks yellow, its reason unknown. A bright idea of minute proportion of resolute relevance. Above the two-lane street, it hangs, regulating time and space, of them going nowhere, ending up somewhere in a small town for some reason. A filling station, a convenience store, cafe, and bar in a small town. That's all it needs, all it will ever be, a small town. A parking meter, a sheriff's car, like vagrancy, a nuisance. Or kids on Saturday night, all 5 of them drag racing the strip, agitating the street light that blinks yellow, regulating time and space in a small town. Hills do not lie. They hide small towns with small people who have big hearts, small wallets, a single ATM machine, progress, progress in a small town. The president rolled through yesterday under blinking yellow light on his way to the big city as everyone lined the strip, waving the flag, all 28 people and their children held from school in a small town. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come and share with you.
Thank you, Emmett. That was amazing. I'm honored to share this podium with you. That was a great speech and a real testament to PGE. There is a lot of history in this room, I have to agree, and I just love this event because I get to talk to all my former colleagues and we can kind of reminisce about the what we've done together. So next, I'd like to introduce our 2 officers from PGE, Ann Mersereau and Ben Felton. Ann and I go back a little ways. In my latter part of my career, I got to work with her very closely, and I kind of missed that relationship. But I also want to congratulate her on her upcoming retirement. She's going to now join the retirement ranks. So hopefully, I'll see you at more of these functions moving forward. And Ben, I haven't had a chance to really get to know you, so I'm really I'm honored that you're here to talk with us today. So Ann Mersereau, if you don't know, is our Vice President of Human Resources, Diversity, and Inclusion, and she has agreed to share a few words with us.
So it's so fun to be here with you today, knowing that next year I won't be sitting at that table. I'll be sitting at one of those tables. So slide over and make room for me. I'm really excited to join in with all of you. I just had a few words and I kind of feel like I should just give my notes to Emmett and have him come up here and read them, but I'll do my best. So a couple of things I want to talk about is just celebrating the amazing contributions from all of you and from all of the folks that are currently at PGE. Collectively, there are so many incredible things that we've done over time and will continue to do into the future. One of the things that's top of mind for me, because we just finished the employee giving campaign, was your generosity as part of the campaign. I don't know if you know this or not, but this group gave over 5,684 volunteer hours to our community, as well as donating over $308,000 to help our community out. So thank you for that. So I joined the company 15 years ago in July of 2009 in human resources. And I went to work for Bill Nicholson. I think, Bill, you may have interviewed me. I can't remember exactly, but it has been an incredible experience. And I told someone the other day wholeheartedly that the day that I started, I was so excited to join PG because I knew the company was special. I could tell from being a customer that there was something really unique. And as I'm sort of getting ready to walk out the door officially, I still believe that really, really deeply in my heart. And it's because of the incredible people that make up the company. The company's changed, it's grown, it's transforming, it's going to continue to grow and transform, which is part of the constant. What has stayed the same are our guiding behaviors. We refreshed them. I think I told you that a couple of years ago. We refreshed our guiding behaviors, but having that anchor of our values has been central to the company and how we all stay connected together. And so I wanted to reflect on a couple of those today. First, our first guiding behavior is being customer focused. So how do we think about our customer, and how do we, as we're contemplating changes, et cetera, how do we think about making our experiences better for our customers. So thinking about like things like online billing, or how do we continue to transform how our customers interact with us. Next one is ensuring accountability. And I'm pretty sure you're not missing this time of year when we do performance appraisals or writing those, Wayne Law. So it's that time of year, PGE, and it is the time where we count like what went really well. And then where are there areas where maybe things could be better, and how do we take accountability for those? Collaboration is our next guiding behavior, and it's at the heart of everything we do. And I think, Emmett, you did a beautiful job talking about collaboration. And there's all kinds of projects and things that you've all worked on that require this collaborating, working together. We didn't just work in our own little groups, although sometimes maybe it felt like, oh, my group is siloed, or those people are siloed. At the end of the day, you don't build and do the things that we do without collaboration. So super important achievement across the company. We should talk about always learning. So how do we learn from our mistakes? How do we anticipate where we need to go and learn from that? Instilling trust. How do we earn trust with each other? How do we give trust to each other? And then finally, valuing differences. And I brought some stats, which I think you'll appreciate. You talked about that a little bit earlier, Emmett. When I started in 2009, we were really focusing, because of the work that Emmett had done on diversity and inclusion in the workforce. And we've made a lot of progress since then, and we still have progress to go. But for example, when I joined at that time, our company was made up of 15% people of color in the organization. Today, it's over 25%, an increase of nearly 60% of our organization. And leadership, which is a really important part of how you think about bringing different perspectives into the organization and having that filter through the org, we've paid special attention to that. So the percentage of diverse employees in management has grown from 9.6% in 2009 to 26.3% today, which is a 174% increase over time, with women in management growing to almost 60% as of today. So we've worked really hard to bring other perspectives into the organization, and we'll continue on that work. So I'm really proud of the work that we've done. I'm grateful for the incredible experiences. I appreciated, Emmett, that you talked about gratitude and how important that is. I think it's such an important part of our mental health and well-being to think about what are the things that we can be so grateful for. And this time of year is a special time to reflect on those. And I am very grateful to be able to say that I've had this incredible career at PGE, and that I get to join all of you and spend more time with you. So thank you for letting me come again this year. Thank you for letting me join the ranks. And now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague. One of my most important hires, I feel like, that I've made. We did not have a COO, a chief operating officer at PGE. I don't think we've ever had one. It's certainly not while I've been there. And we decided that it was time for us to have a position that really kind of looked at the operations all the way across from generation to T&D and all the pieces and parts that fit together. And we looked and looked and looked, and then we found Ben, and so excited to have him be part of the team. So with that, help me welcome Ben to the stage.
Well, I always have to check my watch. Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing? Good. I'm gonna openly admit I was a little nervous about doing this because I'm 20 months into this. And so speaking to a group that has so much, oh, Wayne, how are you? Good to see you. Speaking to a group that has so much history well before I ever got here, obviously made me a little nervous, right? Like, what is this guy going to say? He's only been here 20 months. He doesn't understand, kind of the history that's been the company. Emmett, your opening remarks really set me back and touched me, right? Like my role in its core is about keeping the lights on. Everybody that works for me, I have roughly 2/3 of the company that I have the privilege of being their leader. And that's what our mission is keeping the lights on. And then when the lights aren't on, Maria wants to know, when are they going to come back on? Right. So making sure that we can do that in a very safe way. Let me pause and introduce myself. My name is Ben Felton. I've been here since April of 2023, and I absolutely love this company. I was just sharing with the table here. This feels like family. You know, those that I work with, those that work for me, those that I have the privilege to report to, being Maria, it's a family. We are here to make sure that we're taking care of the company, we're taking care of our customers for everything that you all have done before. I arrived here from a company in Detroit, Detroit Edison, or DTE as it's known today. And I'm coming up on 33 years being in this industry. So I got a little bit of ways to go before I get to retirement, but not too far. It's there. It's there. Let me give a big thank you for everything that you all have done prior to my arrival, right? This company was left in a very, very good place, and we are doing some really big things. You know, everything that you see in the media, I can promise you, it's not as bad as they say, but it's way tougher than they say at the same time, right? There's a lot going on. You know, I was sharing with the table here. One of the things that fascinates me about PGE is for our size and what we're tackling in the industry is pretty impressive for our size company. You know, we are very nimble, and that's really on the heels of everything that you all have done in the past. I'm going to come back and close with some personal thoughts on just how I operate and some things that I think that you all appreciate. But I had a young lady who always makes sure that I say the really important things, which is you all want to know what we've done since you've retired. And I'm going to read through those, and I'm going to come back and close with some comments that'll kind of echo Emmett's. Let me highlight the year. So safety for me is paramount. You know, I like to remember two numbers, 0 and 100. Nobody gets hurt, and 100% of us go home safe. If we focus on that, the rest of the metrics really don't matter. So I really lead by making sure that people can do their work and do their jobs really well, but go home the same way, if not better than you came in. Reliability, you know, very, very critical for us. You know, our customers absolutely expect that the lights are going to be on, and when they aren't on for whatever reason, that we're recovering those really quickly. We want to build a very resilient system. And what that means is if you think about wildfire, you think about reliability, you think about just growth in general, we want a system that's going to be able to stand up to evolving weather events, all the things that are happening. We want to make sure that the lights stay on. Innovation and affordability, I'm going to tie those together. Innovation is making that grid operate differently than it did yesterday. You know, the customers are expecting way more from us. But at the same time, we are seeing some incredible growth. Something that I never fully appreciated, that a data center, something that really is just a box, would add to the growth of our company the way that it has. And this is true across the nation. It's not just a Pacific Northwest thing. It's not just a PGE thing. This is happening across the nation. And what that's doing is that really is putting us in a position where we have to grow to be able to take on new load, which is important to you all if you're investors in the company, right? But at the same time, we've got to keep the system resilient. We've got to keep reliability in check. And we got to make sure that our customers can afford it. So if you take all of those together, those are the things that I fully appreciate about the legacies that you left and the people that are doing this today, because that is no easy task. And we have to deliver on all of those. Let me talk about what has happened in 2024. You may or may not have heard of a WIG. Does anybody know what a WIG is? So it's a wildly important goal. And so we have married ourselves around some common concepts of what are our truths across several areas of focus. And what we say is that everything is really important, but these really are the things that we need to focus on, right? Making sure that our grid is prepared for growth in the future, making sure that we're building innovation into that. And that could be in the sound of studying our lines to make sure lines actually can handle more capacity than what we've had in the past. Batteries, we brought on some new battery installations that are going to help us meet those peak loads in the future. Strengthening collaborative partnerships with customers and communities. Has anyone signed up for our any of our programs where we can control your thermostat on those days that it's really hot, so we can kind of pull down some of the load? Does everybody raise their hands? Great. The mission today, if you don't know about that, sign on and maybe become a member. Consider that. Those are some of the things that innovation is helping us manage our grid as we move forward. This summer, we actually were able to curtail 109 megawatts, enough to curtail 90,000 customers just through the way that we use that thermostat, just dropping it down a couple of degrees at the highest peak of the day, just so that we didn't have to buy that excess energy. Let me talk a little bit about our clean energy transition. I think this is something that's really fascinating to me. So we brought on our Clearwater Wind Energy Center, which is out in Montana. And of course, we source that energy back here to the Portland area. And that came on earlier part of this year. We also reached a milestone, and actually that facility is enough to power 830,000 homes when the wind is blowing, right? And obviously we've got to make sure that there's something behind that. And it's where our battery storage comes in, is being able to store the energy. We brought on Coffee Creek, which is 17 megawatts. It's a 2-hour system, and then Constable, which is 75. And we have another one in partnership with NextEra. So these are some of the things that you're going to see that we're doing to help us manage our system the best that we possibly can, take advantage of storing energy that's coming from renewable energy sources, but having those available in times when the wind's maybe not blowing, the sun's not shining, and being able to kind of curtail those peaks and all. As we look ahead, another thing that we're doing is we're looking at the system, and I've got one of my leaders looking at this from a 10-year resiliency plan, right? We have been really good at doing a thing, but all of those things are collapsing on us, whether it's wildfire, whether it's growth, whether it's we have to have a reliable system, keeping all of that affordable. I'm pushing all of that together to where as we look at enhancing our system, we put a wildfire lens on it, which means that I don't have to come back a few years. And I'll ask this question. How many of you retired prior to wildfire becoming a thing here? Okay, many in the room. So we have 12 high fire risk zones right now. 5 years ago, there were none. And so what I've asked the team to do is to think about the system as in maybe our whole system becomes a high fire risk zone. So the worst thing we'd want to do is invest in a portion of the grid and then have to go back and reinvest in that portion of the grid because we didn't put a wildfire lens on it or we didn't put a capacity lens on it. So these are things that we're doing to make sure that we are spending our customers' money in the most appropriate way and building a system that's going to be operated safely, resiliently, build in that reliability, but also enable us to be able to handle that growth that we know is coming in the future. Let me close on just a simple deal here. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share the updates with you. I do not take this lightly. I've like I said, I've been 33 years. I've worked for a couple of utilities, and this room has prepared me to actually be able to lead the people that I have the privilege of leading. You've touched someone in my organization, or they're coming behind you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Is that me? Want to continue? I just keep talking. We'll continue this connection. I'm just going to take a minute to just show my appreciation for Ann, because had it not been for her, I don't know. Like she's really good. If you all spend any time with her, she can sell you on something, right? So with the people that I have the privilege of leading, those that I had the honor to meet, Ann was the closer for me, because what I fell in love with was the company's purpose, what the mission is, and the fact that, there's the smaller utility. It's really taking on the world. Like we want to do some really big things, and the incredible people that's behind that. And it's individuals like Ann that made me go, I'm going to take a chance on this. I'm going to just pack up, go 2,000 miles to an area that I don't have a lot of familiarity with. And I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to be a part of something really, really cool and really, really meaningful. So I appreciate you all for setting this up prior to me getting here. Now, I'm just going to give you some personal thoughts. Emmett, you said keep the lights on. That's what we do every day. You know, we're in a tough place right now. PGE, like I said, is doing some amazing things, but sometimes that can't be seen by everyone. So I want you all, and I know you are, but emphasize, lean in, and tell your neighbors, tell everybody what we're doing and why we're doing it, right? We really, truly, genuinely care about our customers. We really are trying to meet the demands of the future. We're trying to balance all of this at the same time. And I can tell you, everyone that I come in contact with, everyone that I work with, they are so focused on what the mission is. And the most important thing that I will tell you, and this came from a CEO that I worked for at a prior company, and he always used to say, leave it better than you found it. And I feel when I got here, you all left it better than I found it. And I can promise you, as I'm sitting in this leadership role, I'm going to work every day as long as I can to make sure that I'm driving value and I'm going to leave it better than I found it. So rest assured, the people that are at the helm, despite what you see in the news, we're working tirelessly to make sure that your time and your investment in this company and the dollars that you have invested in us today are going to be meaningful and they're going to pay dividends in the future for as far as we can see. So thank you so much.
Better be careful there. Ann and Ben, thank you so much. Those are wonderful words, and I really, we all appreciate you being here to talk to us. And I just want to also reiterate, how much we appreciate PGE and the support they have provided our organization. Without PGE, I think we wouldn't be where we are today. So thank you so much for your help. And I want to also acknowledge Leanne Sneath, who is our liaison and has done a phenomenal job supporting us. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, she keeps us updated on things we need to know about. She answers all of our questions. Some of them are tough questions, but we appreciate it. So thank you for that. And this organization is very unique. I think John mentioned this last year that we did a little bit of a survey to see what other utilities do, and there really aren't other utilities that have this type of retiree organization. So this is pretty awesome. It's a real testament to the family of PGE. So, and I wanted to also say that, we don't just get together and have these events. We also do things for our community. If you probably noticed that we have a sign up there for the food bank. So we contribute to that. So if you haven't seen that, there's an opportunity to either donate food or cash contributions. You can either do that with cash or through a QR code. And I would mention that any cash contributions multiplied for each dollar, the food bank can multiply that into $5 somehow. I'm not sure how that works, but I was told that. And then yesterday too, we had a really cool event. So there's a group of us that get together once a month at the Old Market Pub. Barb and Mike Schwartz organize it, and so for the third year in a row, we have had a toy drive for the for KGW, and it was very successful again this year. There was about 17 of us that attended. And I think out of that, there were about 37 to 40 toys that were contributed. It was really a big hit. So we do a lot of things that way as well. Now, I'm not just the board here. There's other people in this room that provide a lot of support to this. In fact, my job's pretty easy because of the other board members. So I do want to acknowledge our board of directors and ask them to stand for those of you here today. And just so you can see who they are. John. Thank you. And then we also have a communications committee that does all the hard work to make these events happen. And I want to thank the communications committee for that. And we don't need to stand for that. You can wave if you like. And then finally, I want to acknowledge the board of directors. We have some people that are retiring from our board after many years of service. Very much appreciated. But I just wanted to honor Kimberly Hamling, Jim Den for their service, and then we have several that have had 10 plus years of service. Norby Chartre, Terry, and Darlene Judkins, and they are what we call our emeritus board members. So much appreciated. Thank you. I was given a lot of things to say today, so I'm trying to make sure I don't forget anything. So last thing I'll just mention is our activity groups. We have a number of activity groups. They're all listed on that placard down there, and we do things like pickleball, we do hiking, we do book club, golfing, a whole lot of those. And there's a leader for each one, so you can see that on the board there. And in fact, I would ask that if you are a leader of one of our activity clubs, just stand so people can see who you are. I always say that, we on the board would love to have you join us and either contribute on a committee or just provide your insight and perspective. And so feel free to let us know if you're interested. We're always looking for new board members. In fact, we have two new ones this year. Jay, or not, Jay was last year, but Patty, Patty Lema and CC Coleman have agreed to join us on the board. So I appreciate it. Okay, thank you everyone for being here today. Much appreciated, and feel free to stay a little bit longer and mingle.